This is Robert with Pioneer Smokehouses, and today we're going to use the Cuisinart charcoal vertical smoker to cook some chicken. Right now what I've done is I went ahead and loaded the basket with some charcoal. I put Kingsford briquettes on the bottom, which is my favorite all-around brand, and then I put some standard lump charcoal, kind of medium to smaller pieces, on top of that. I went ahead and filled my charcoal chimney with about 24 pieces of charcoal because I wanted to get a little bit more than what I normally do. Normally, I usually put in just a little above 12. I wanted to get a faster start because I'm going for a little bit of a higher temperature. When I cook poultry now, I'm really trying to be above 300 degrees, 275 at a minimum, but I really like to go up into 325 if I can get there, which is kind of hard in some smokers. But this really helps me get the skin, the consistency that I want it, and it also gives me a quicker cooking temperature. And with poultry, it's not like brisket. You don't have to break it down. You just have to cook it through evenly. So we're going pretty good here. We're just about ready to dump that, but I'm gonna let that sit for a minute while we talk a little bit about the chicken. So what I did was I bought a large whole chicken from the local grocery store, just a store brand. And then I was considering spatchcocking it, but I decided to go ahead and half it. So basically, we're gonna run some stuff up here for you to watch that I did earlier this morning. And I took the chicken, and the first thing I did was I cut the backbone out. And then after that, I flipped it over and I cut out the, I don't know if it's the sternum or what it is, but it's the piece in the middle of the breast. I cut both sides of that out. Now I could have trimmed that a little bit better, or I could have either used it for stock or smoked it and then just used it as a snack, but I went ahead and just discarded that today. I recommend that you use it to make your own homemade chicken stock with some vegetable cuttings, and it's great for just any kind of small little soup. Now, I cut that in 2 pieces, and then what I did was I bagged it up and I brined it. Now, a brine is 1 cup of salt to 1 gallon of water. I basically used a quart, so a 1/4 cup of salt to a 1/4 gallon of water, and I mixed it up, mixed half of it hot, and then put cold water in and let it come down to room temperature before using. Usually if I'm gonna do this, I do it the night before, but I went ahead and just put it outside while I was finishing up on the chicken, and it came down to the temperature that I could use. Now, when I did the brine mixture, while it was still warm, I also added the seasoning. Don't forget to do that. You want to get that seasoning just a little bit warm, and it'll actually kind of activate a little bit. You could also toast it in a frying pan real quick, similar to what you would do with something like cumin or any of the spices that you'd want to activate. Same idea. Today, in this video, we're using the Cosmos Dirty Bird, which is one of my favorite store-bought seasonings for poultry. It pretty much hits all the points I want. The only thing that I don't care for is it's a little higher in the sodium than I like, but I just add a little bit of extra garlic and pepper to the dry rub, and that covers it all. So after I was done with that, I rinsed off the chicken completely. I want to get all of that extra salt off of the outside, and then I let it dry for a minute, and I went ahead and started coating it with another coating of the dry rub. I lightly coated both sides, put it on a cookie sheet, and then I recoated the skin side just a little bit because I want to make sure that gets really well coated. I also want it to be dry and tacky. Now, some people like to use either baking powder or baking soda, I've heard, or cornstarch on there. But really, the main goal is to draw as much of the water out of the skin as possible so it'll crisp up. If you let it sit for a bit, some of that water will come out, but don't let it sit too long because you don't want to take a chance with your food safety. The chicken's ready to go, and we just need to pour this out and get started from there. That's going really well. It's going to get started up real good. We're gonna let it go ahead and burn there for a minute so that way we can get the lump to start lighting up. The vent on the bottom is fully open, and something that we might try today is I might try removing that vent to allow more air in through the bottom so that way we can get a good amount of airflow. Notice underneath here is a safe surface. There is nothing that is flammable underneath the smoker today, so if any of the sparks or anything drop to the bottom, that'll be fine. I might still leave that or else slide a brick underneath there just for extra safety. Now, we've got that done. Today, because I want a little bit of the flare up and a little bit of the oils to burn, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna remove the water pan that I normally leave in there. I like to leave that in. It helps kind of disperse the heat a little bit. And there'll be no reason to leave this one in either. We'll set that aside. Voila, empty. No rabbits in the hat. Oh. I guess that wasn't a magic trick. And then we'll go ahead and seat that and latch it in place. I took the grill grate and I put it on the propane grill on low and then brushed it off. Then I wiped it off one time because I did not use a safe brush. Coil brushes are the way to go, but they don't work as well as the other brushes, but they're safe. So you use what you feel comfortable with. And then the grill mat came out of the dishwasher, nice and clean. I set it on here like this, so the little gaps are where the holes are, because I don't like to set anything over there. And then we'll just go ahead and let this come up to temperature for a minute. I'll go ahead and make sure the vent on the top is open all the way and set this on there. And then I'll be right back while I go get the chicken. Here's those chicken halves right here. And I don't know if you can see this, but I'm gonna try to get a little closer. Leaving it sit out, it started to pull up some extra liquid there, which is great because we want that liquid out of the skin. A little bit of the salt in the dry rub definitely will force more liquid out. Now I try to grab it somewhere where I'm not going to mess up the dry rub too much. So right by the corner here is one good spot. I'm going to try to get the breast away from the center. The heat will probably spread pretty evenly in here, but I didn't do any tricks to try to keep the breast cooler than the rest of the chicken. And so I do have to watch that because if I overcook it, it will dry out. I'm gonna go ahead and get the lid on there as soon as possible. And gonna leave that open all the way because I want some good airflow. And we can see it's flowing perfectly. Now, I have to make sure that we get it up to a good temperature. And again, that's one of the reasons why I'm considering removing the damper from the bottom completely so I can open up 100% airflow to the bottom. I'm gonna babysit this and I'm gonna get it up to temperature. And like I said, I'm going for a real high temperature of about 325, but we don't need that temperature the entire cook. We just need that for the second half of the cook. So I'm gonna push it up into the 275 for the first hour and then try to work it all the way up to 325. When I have something important to show you, we'll come back to it. That'll just be a few seconds for you. So we have returned and I think that we have actually overcooked our chicken just a touch. I went ahead and closed down all the vents. I checked the thermometer a couple of times on the top, and I'm gonna tell you that it is reading way low. So I'm a little concerned that when it gets to the top end that it's not getting the temperature reading correctly. Compared to what the digital thermometer says, we have about 100-degree discrepancy here. So we need to double check that with another thermometer on our next cook. But I went ahead and shut down all the vents so I could lower the temperature down. But again, I think we've overcooked it just a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and take it out. Thermometers are gonna be hot, so be careful. Chicken's gonna be hot too. So I went ahead and brought out a fork because I don't wanna burn myself today. I'm gonna see if I can pull out the whole grill mat all in one shot here. Hey, how about that? Now, on a cook like this, your grill's gonna be pretty messy. And since I forgot to bring out my camera, I'm gonna take a couple pictures in here. And it looks really good and it's burning really good. It burned up even, and there's still probably a couple of hours worth of good heat here. I'm gonna go ahead and close the lid up here. Open that back up, turn that back on full, and I'm gonna let it burn off all the oils and fats out of there. While that's doing that, let's go ahead and cut a piece of this chicken. Now, of course, I want you to let your chicken rest in a nice dry place for a little while. Like maybe you could just toss it in your oven that's off or lightly preheated, and then you'll have a real good idea what's going on. We're gonna go ahead and do this one right here. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut this little wing off here. Oh, and that joint just came right apart. Look at that. A lot of nice red color in there. That wing meat has a lot of nice smoky color to it. And then again, like I said with the Cosmo, it's a little bit on the edge for me on salt, but probably perfect for you. Boy, is that hot. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna kind of separate the leg and thigh section from the breast section. Just go around there and get that whole thing off of there just like that. Look at that. Look how juicy that still looks. Good, good. I was a little worried, but now I'm not as worried. We're gonna cut a couple slices right here. Be careful not to cut into your grill mat. My fork. I'm gonna bring this up to you and show it to you. And it looks perfectly cooked and juicy. And look at that. It is not overcooked. Man, I was worried there for a second. Just look at that. A lot of good juice in there. Tastes amazing, and it cooked faster than what I expected. Another thing, cooking at the higher temperatures gave me really good skin. It's not hard, but it's not rubbery at all. I could have used a little bit of basting. This thigh here is just a little dry. I'm gonna set this all in the oven. My oven does 170 degrees. So I'll be able to put this in the oven and let it rest, but I'll just give it a light coat of olive oil and it'll get the skin to stay moist for a little bit of holding time. I need about an hour before dinner because this is done an hour ahead of when I expected it to be. But I'm very happy with it. I was surprised because I've been having a hard time getting it to come up to the temperatures I wanted. But I'm thinking that maybe I just wasn't measuring it correctly and that it has been at the temperature the whole time. The temperature on the top is reading 290, and I know that it's probably closer to about 390 in there. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna replace this thermometer and see if that gives us a better reading. I'm happy with what the results are and how it's worked out today. So that is our chicken halves cook, and one more down. So next we're gonna do, I think, some St. Louis ribs. I like the nice square ribs, even consistency, easy to cook. Anybody can get great results with it. And with this smoker, we're gonna try to see if we can do a typical dry rib. So we're not doing a bunch of sauce, and we're not wrapping, we're not doing anything crazy like that. If you like this smoker, there's affiliate links below, or anything else like my favorite knives, the Victorinox. And if you use those links, it won't cost you anything, but it'll help support the channel. And if not, at least go check out the price on this and see where it is today. That also helps support the channel too. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.